Alright, I decided to put a video up of this Greek referendum. It's going back and forth. Is it going to happen? Isn't it going to happen? What's the story behind it? Well, basically, the idea is that Greek is in debt, alright, through whatever means. I'll get into those. But the whole thing is that the Greek country is in debt. And they have to find a way to pay back the debt. So they have to go through austerity measures, cut a lot of programs, cut a lot of aid, and at the same time increase taxes on the people. And the Prime Minister, is it Papadreou or something like that. The funny thing about that is that he suggested that perhaps they have a referendum for the people. The people go up to vote and they decide what should get cut, how they're going to pay it back, should they default, and not, find a way to try to keep solvent and just basically go through like a bankruptcy process. And you know what? A lot of the people in the media, if you've been seeing it, we're kind of criticizing this move. Oh, how could he do that? How could he allow the people to vote on their debt? Well, I mean, it's their country, isn't it? I mean, Greek, you think of democratic values, people's vote matters. You think you would give them a referendum. And let's think about it again here. I mean, if you're an American who believes in the government for the people and by the people, you should also, all right, support the Greek referendum. All right, after all, it's the people's say government. And I look at it this way, it's not necessarily the Greek people that caused the problem by any means. Back when I was at college and the whole Greek debt crisis started getting some airtime, I went into it and I was like, well, the Greek people pay their taxes. All right, you want to talk about people living outside of their means, we have other countries we could talk about, hint. All right, but I mean, it was the government in an effort to try to create more money, invested in so many exotic financial instruments, listened to these financiers, and then when the derivatives bubble popped, all of a sudden now they're stuck paying all this debt. All right, so it's not the Greek people's fault, and I believe that they should have a say if they're going to be the ones paying back this debt with taxes and their children who's going to have to deal with all the cuts. They should be the ones having a say in how exactly they should go about it. And a lot of people are trying to scare the American public and the world public in general by saying, oh, this is horrible because your stock market's going to do bad. Your stocks are going to go down. But, the whole reason why is because the euro, the currency of the European Union, has like nearly 20 countries or whatever it is use this one currency with completely different cultures, completely different economies, yet they're all stuck using the same piece of paper. And it is a piece of paper. It's a fiat currency. It's not backed by any commodity, so its value is going to fluctuate. When one nation has an error, has a problem, all right, and it starts screwing up the value of their nation, it's going to screw up the value of their currency, right? So now you have all these other countries who did nothing wrong. By associating them with all one currency, you now created all of them to deal with each other's problems. All right, there's no more sovereignty left. All right, so some people are saying that if the Greek country, decides not, all right, to pay back the loan the way they had originally planned it, it could be the end of the European Union, which I really don't think is that bad of a thing. All right, if Greece wants to leave the European Union, let them. I mean, years ago we went to these Warsaw Pact countries and complain about the Soviet Union and communism. How can you force all these countries to belong to you? Should they have a choice? Should they be free? Well, should the people of the European Union be allowed to leave? It's not a gang. It's not like blood in, blood out. And the whole thing is that with the European Union, all right, they actually can't go into your, I guess you could call it like your Congress, your delegation, whatever it is, and say, hey, even though you passed this law and had your people vote on it, we're the European Union and you agreed to join to us and listen to simple rules. And one of those rules is that if we don't like your law, we can kind of get rid of it. You have to listen to the European Union laws first. That makes no sense. That's not good. That destroys all sovereignty. All right. And the way I look at it, if you're an investor in the stock market and you're worried about Greek's referendum destroying the value of your stocks, I want you to think about this. When you went into the stock market, there's something called risk and reward. You want that reward, you're going to have to take some risk. There are no guarantees. You can lose every dollar you invest. All right? And I wouldn't worry about it too much because basically what it's doing is it's dropping the value of certain stocks based on other nations' currencies. Because if the European euro drops in value, all right, that means that other nations' currencies are going to be a higher value than what they once were to it. All right, so the company still has value, but the currency it's trading back and forth in, now one currency has more of an upper hand on the other, so you could actually, buy things for cheaper. So if you have invested in all European stocks and you're dealing with American dollars, you could see a value drop. All right, but it doesn't necessarily mean the company's like out of business or anything. All right. And also Papadreou, this prime minister, I've been hearing, recently that he's going to resign. He just had a vote, I guess, of like no confidence, wherever it turned out that it wasn't, that people didn't support him enough to kick him out. But now, anyway, he's thinking about resigning. And supposedly he was a former executive member of Goldman Sachs or some investment bank, so it's pretty unusual that, you would think that he would even let a referendum of such a matter occur. Some people believe it was just political pandering to try to keep him in the office for a little bit longer. I really don't know, but at the end of the day, I still believe that the Greek people should have a right to vote on how exactly their nation deals with their debt. That's all I have to say.